This is the road right here that Stringbean would have taken home on that final night. Now, many of you probably know who Stringbean was. His name was David Akeman, and he was a singer, a songwriter, and a banjo player, and he was a star of the show Hee Haw. Now, he was a Grand Ole Opry member, very popular guy, and he had memorable stage wardrobe. He used to wear a long nightshirt tucked into short blue jeans around his knees, and it made him look like he was a lot taller than he actually was. He was born in 1915, and the part of this story here is started on November 10th of 1973. Stringbean was performing at the Grand Ole Opry, and him and his wife Estelle came back to their home right here. And they lived really modestly. He didn't really believe in banks, so what happened is that he always used to keep his money on him. Him and his wife both did. And there were two burglars that were in the house at the time. They were ransacking the house looking for money, and they ended up only getting about $250 that night. Although when they were checked later that night, they found over $5,700 on their bodies, because part of the thing is that they sewed secret pockets onto their clothing so that you wouldn't be able to tell that they had the money that they had on them. But Grandpa Jones, another star from Hee Haw, lived up the road not too far, and he actually discovered the bodies. Now, when they came back home, they went inside the house, and the burglars shot Stringbean inside the doorway, and then Estelle ran down the driveway, this curved driveway that you see right here. She ran down that way, and about the center of the screen, they shot her. She begged for them to leave her alone, and they shot her again in the head. Both of them were killed here on this property. Now, as you can see, this is a beautiful property. The Akemans were very simple people, even though Stringbean was very famous. He liked fishing, he liked the simple life, and he liked living out here. I mean, he was a big name, he made good money, but he lived 15 minutes outside of Nashville, and there is really nothing around here, but this is the location. They had this stream that was running through their front yard, as you can see right here. A very beautiful property, but this was the home of Stringbean and his wife Estelle, and that tragic murder. Now, let me tell you what happened to the folks that did this. It was a guy named John Brown and Marvin Brown. They were 23 years old, and they were scumbags, let's be honest. But Marvin died in 2003 in prison, and John was granted parole in 2014 after serving 41 years in prison. So he is out. I believe he's still alive. And there is a horse over here that has not moved, but he is alive. That's kind of interesting. He's not really fenced in, I don't think. But this is a really small property, but this is unfortunately the place where Stringbean, David Akeman, lived with his wife, and this is also where he was killed. I mean, it's kind of crazy to look at this where this happened. I mean, this up until that point in the 1970s, this was a very safe area. People felt like they could, leave their doors unlocked and all that kind of stuff, and things like this really did not happen back then, but it did happen that night, and ever since then, people around here, they just can't take their safety for granted. But this is the home of Stringbean. Now, it's always kind of sad to see locations like this in places where people's lives ended, but it's also important history because this home is still original. I'm not sure who lives in it now, and I don't know if they know what actually happened on their property, but now we're going to head over a couple of miles away to find the final resting place of Stringbean. So let's go do that. We're at Forest Lawn Cemetery right now in Goodlettsville, just outside of Nashville. We're maybe 5 miles away from the Stringbean home, and this is where the final resting place of David Akeman is. Now, if you come to visit, when you come in the cemetery, take the first left, and there's something called Music Row right here in front of us. And this is where not only David Akeman is, but this is also where a couple of other influential artists are laid to rest. So this is my first time ever here, so we will go up here and we'll see where he is. Let's see who we have. Oh, here's Lefty Freyzel, 1928 to 1975. We have Judy Baker, country music's hostess. Oh, here's an interesting one. Harold Hawkshaw Hawkins, 1923 to 1963. If that name doesn't sound familiar, he was on board the Patsy Cline crash. He tragically passed away in that accident. Vicki Ross. Jimmy Elrod. And here he is right here, Stringbean. David Akeman and his wife Estelle. He has Stringbean there and a banjo. What a talented guy. It's pretty sad how it ended for him though. You can see she has a fishing pole on her side. There's Estelle. And here's one more just across from Music Row. And this is Lloyd Cowboy Copus, 1913 to 1963. He was another country music star, and he was also on the Patsy Cline plane crash. Cowboy Copus. Well, that will about do it for today's video. Hopefully you learned a little bit something about Stringbean. Pretty sad what happened to him. A really talented guy, and by all accounts, just a really good, down-to-earth human being. But yeah, that's all there is for today. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody.